What is RegExp? Well, that stands for regular expressions. And that's a pattern matching language that's available in all programming languages pretty well. And it's very powerful, and it's at the heart of artificial intelligence. And also various other things. So regular expressions, let's check it out. A regular expression object looks like this, and we put a pattern in it, such as Dan, for instance. So that's a regular expression literal, much like this is a string literal, this is a number literal, this is an array literal, this is an object literal, this is a Boolean literal, etc. So that is a regular expression literal. Note that we can't just put 2 slashes because that's a comment. So let's see it in action. We can store it in a variable if we want, var regexp, like that or something like that, is equal to whatever pattern we're interested in, such as Dan. And then we can use it as a variable, but traditionally we just tend to put it right in place in either a match or a replace. So we've got match, we'll try and match something, and we can use a regular expression rather than just a straight string. So let's try that in match. So in other words, we might have a string here, var string is equal to quote Dan Zen, like that. And then we can say, hey, does that string match? So if string dot match, and we can use the regexp there. If it matches that, then we will sog matching, like so. Now this will not zog matching. Can you see why? That's lowercase, and that's an uppercase D. So if we save that and refresh here, not refresh, but open it up in a browser, F12, there's no matching there. But if we had a capital letter D and save that, then we have matching. Okay, well, we could also cheat a little bit and say ignore case. So if we put a little I after, then it will ignore case and we'll be back to matching with an exclamation mark. And we refresh here, matching with an exclamation mark. Cool, huh? Take away that little ignore case and we get not matching. All right, so we'll leave the I off for now. What else can we do? How about we match anything with an A? What happens if we're just looking for something with an A? Will this match, or does it have to start at the beginning? Let's check it out. We save that, and we get matching. Great. So as long as the pattern is somewhere in here, we're good. By the way, I had mentioned we could store this as a variable, and that's fine. You can, so this works fine. But traditionally, we tend to take this and put it just right in here, or at least I do. Hopefully that's okay. So I'm putting my regular expression right in there and not bothering storing it in the variable. Great. That matches anything with an A. What if they're out of order? Like what if I say A and E like that? Do you think this will match? We save that and refresh. Not matching. Now so far we haven't really done anything different than just matching with a string. So, well, aside from the case, like we did see that if we put the I there, the case is handy, very handy. But let's try some special things. What if we do want to say that it matches at the beginning, this A? Well, that would look like a caret here. So what this does is it anchors whatever we've got here to the beginning of the string. So this will not match. Refresh. We're not matching. But the letter capital D will match because that's at the beginning. Matching. Now how do we match at the end? To match at the end, we put a $sign at the end. So this would have to match from, well, let's just match at the end for now. D, is that at the end? No. Is N at the end? Yes. So this will match. Matching. And indeed, if we type in Dan Zen like that, all of that goes to the end, so that would match. But if we did Dan, that would not match. Let's go back to the Dan Zen and anchor that even to the beginning, and we'll see a matching. Refresh. But now if I do anything in here like that, that won't match. Okay, a little bit more. So that's kind of cool. We can anchor to the beginning and the end with these little characters, and we're going to see a lot of these little characters. So you can look them up and find out what all these little characters mean. One little character that's kind of important is a dot. So what a dot says is match any character. So what we're matching here is DA followed by any character, which N is one of, followed by a space, followed by Zen. So let's save that and refresh. And now we're matching again. So I could put, if the string were DAP, it would match. If it were DAT, it would match. It was DA4, it was match. Ready? DA4, matching still. Anyway, this is all a little bit silly, isn't it? DA4. What if I wanted to match any character between D and N? So any number of them as well. So that would match any character, but watch, because N is anchored to the end and D is anchored to the beginning, if we have only any character, one of them, this will not match. Because there's more characters in here that aren't being put into the pattern. So we refresh here, it does not match. Now just watch, if we take off the anchoring, that would match. Let's take off the anchoring on both sides. So now what we're looking for is D followed by any character followed by N. Okay, and there just happens to be an N here, I suppose. Well, let's put the one back on the end there because I want to show you something else here. So will this match? No. See what I mean? So this is N is anchored at the end. So we're going to the N here. We've got any character, that's great, but this is a Z, not a D. So that won't work. Let's just check. Refresh, no match. But how about any number of characters? And that looks like this, star. So what this is saying is we've got to have a D. We can have any character and any number of them, 0 to infinity of some character, followed by an N, followed by the end of the string. So this will match because the D is here. Then we've got a dot, a dot, a dot, a dot, a dot, and followed by the end. Refresh here, matching. That's great. There's also a plus, and what a plus means is one or more. So the plus is one or more of these characters. For instance, this would not match because we would have to have a D followed by at least some other character, or as many as we want, followed by an N. So this doesn't match. Refresh. No matching, but Dan would match because we've got one or more. Matching. And Dan would match. And we refresh here. Matching. Cool. I like it when people call me Dan. Actually, I don't like it when they call me that many Dans. There's one more thing along those lines, though. There's the dot and there's the question mark. So that is, this question mark stands for 0 or 1 of these characters. So this one will not match because there's more than one. Not match. But this one will match because there's only one. Matching. And so will this one will match because there's only, well, there's 0. So remember, a question mark is 0 or 1. Matching. So that's fine. But as soon as I go to 2 characters, we're not matching. So what if, let's go to an, that's the dot. So dot means any character, and we've dealt with the star. The plus and the question mark. Let's go to Dan, and we'll just take off the $sign there. As a matter of fact, I'm just going to drop that to a lowercase for now. So obviously Dan will not match Dan, but if we put a plus sign here, then it would match, correct? Because that's one or more A's, so that would be fine. If I put a star there, that means 0 or any number, so that would certainly match. If I put the question mark, oh yes, question mark, that means 0 or 1, that would not match. But there's another way that we can also say how many things. So for instance, 2. What this means is as long as there's 2 of these preceding characters, then we're matching. And hey, look, there's 2 there. So we save this, refresh, it's matching. As soon as I put 3, we refresh here, it's not matching. If I just had 1, save here, and refresh, not matching. So it only matches when there's 2. This would match 2 to 4. Okay, 2 to 4. So there's 2. What about 3? Let's try 3, and then we refresh here. Matching. If I put in 4, and I refresh here, matching. If I put in 5, so I don't mind if people call me Dan or Dan, but I don't like it when they call me Dan. Okay, let's see. That's just too windy. Not, or whiny, not matching. You can also leave this thing off. That means up to 4. You can leave the other one off. That means 2 or more. Neat, huh? So that's that stuff. And then there's also these special characters. Well, why don't we do ORs first? Before we deal with special characters, let's take a look at the square brackets. What square brackets mean are options. So that would be a D followed by an A, E, I, O, or U, like that. So that would be D followed by any of these vowels. And let's try some out. We'll save Dan and see if Dan matches. It matches. We'll try Den and see if Den matches. It's matching. We'll try, I forgot the Y, Dean, or whatever, and Y is not in there, so it doesn't match. And we can also say question, or well, how about a plus? This would say 1 or more of any of these vowels. So that means we could put in A, E, O, and that would match because it's 1 or more of any of these letters between a D and an N. So we save that, and it would match. See how we could almost go on forever here, couldn't we? That's matching. Now, this is not matching. Don't you love it? So this carat doesn't have anything to do with this carat, which says anchor it to the beginning. This carat inside the square brackets means not any one of those characters. So now we will definitely not be matching because it's got a whole bunch of those characters sitting inside there, so we're not matching. But if I filled it with the letter P, like that, P is not one of those, and we've got 1 or more of those P's. And we refresh here, and we're back to matching. Let's see, there's also, there's ranges. So we could say match A to Z, for instance. So as long as it's A to Z inside there, and 1 or more, well, let's just take off that. So now we've got 1 letter A to Z inside of here, and if we type in Diggin, D-J-N, that's my Welsh name, then it's matching. But if I were to put a number in here, for instance, like 1, then we would not be matching. There's also a number range, so 1, or how about 0 to 9, 10 to 9. 0 to 9 would match a number range. Capital A to Z would match that. And by the way, you could say, hey, I just want to match 3 to 6. Okay, so this is any character as long as it's from 3 to 6 inside of there. 1 is not, so that won't be matching, but let's increase that to 4. Matching. And if I bring that back to 1 and save that, refresh, not matching. So those ranges can be shortened in a sense. There's also another way to do an OR. You could just say a pipe E. Now we have to be careful here. What this is saying is actually match DA or match EN. It's not, as I was saying there, where it's matching those. If we wanted to match a D followed by an A or an E, we would put round brackets around it like that. Okay, so the round brackets is sort of a grouping thing. So this would match Dan again. Let's check it out. Dan. And it would match Den. Refresh, matching, but it would not match a din, which sounds sort of, it's gone. Okay. Once again, if we took off the brackets there, then it would not match Dan anymore. Oh, yes it would, because DA is in Dan, and it would match an EN, but it wouldn't match, oh, and it would match actually an N, a den, but it's not really the same thing. This would also match just the word N. Okay, so this would match. Matching. All right, let's see. Now maybe on to special characters. Okay, sure, on to special characters. There's a few special characters, such as a space. So, well, actually, you can do a space that way. Let's not start with a space. Let's start with \W. So this matches any word character that is, it's sort of like 0 to 9, A to Z, and A to Z capitals, as well as, I believe it's an underscore. So \W is any one of those characters. Okay, so for instance, 0 will match, and I refresh, matching. The letter A would match, matching. The dash, let's see if a dash matches. Refresh, not matching. And we'll just check that underscore and refresh, matching. Okay, so that's what that means. The \W, how these work, \W is the not in the negative version of it. So now a dash will match because that's not any one of those word characters. And there it is, matching. There's also a number, so, or sorry, a digit. Watch out for that. \N is a new line, so that will match a new line in the string. But \D stands for a digit, so a dash would not match because a dash is not a digit. However, a 9 would match. Refresh, matching. There's also a \Tab. A \space matches a space or a new line, and any other type of space type things. That I think is most of those ones. There's also just a \ in general. So here's how we would match a \ in general escapes. And that's how we would match a period, for instance. Because otherwise, if we just put a period, that means any character. So there's a \ of a period, so 9.8. So we save that up and refresh. It's matching. It's in there. But just be careful, because that would match too. That just means any character. Obviously, that's going to match. All right. That gives us an overview into a match, or sorry, into a regular expression using a match. You can also use a replace on that. There's also some advanced things to do with regular expressions. You can match parts of things. And so if we had said something like 9348, and we're looking for something that matches between a 9 and an 8, and why don't we anchor these two just to make sure, remind you of what an anchor is. So that means the number's got to start with 9, it's got to end with 8, something in the middle, and as a matter of fact, we can say something like any number of these things. And what we do is if we put those in brackets like that, this will match because 9, bracket's a special character, so we don't need a bracket next, followed by any character, 3 and 4, there they are, any number of them, 3 and 4, and then followed by an 8. If we put those in round brackets, we don't need to, like we could have done the pattern matching just like that. But if we do put them in round brackets, it will remember this. So after we do the match, we can ask for their different techniques. I believe match returns a list, and the first answer in the list is first answer in the list. I can't remember if it's the whole pattern or something like that. I think it is. So the next thing is the first remembered thing, and that's in here. So we would be able to get 34 from that. Okay, isn't that cool? So shall we see that just in case? I know it's advanced. I haven't done it in a while, but as a matter of fact, I tend usually to do this with PHP more so, and then I remember how to do that. But in JavaScript, let's just go. Var x is the results of the match of that. And we don't need that one, just one match. Okay. All right, so that's what we've got. We're matching up here. Are we doing it in a string? Yes, that's right. And then we're storing the results in x. Let's just zog what x is. And that might give us an indication as how we could access this thing in the middle. Right, so we save that, refresh here. Refresh, it's an array. The first one is the whole pattern. So 9, 3, 4, 8. The next one is the first thing that was remembered, 34. So if we want to get what that is, we would just zog x at 1. Zog x at 0 would give us the whole string that was matched. Zog x at 1, we save that and refresh here. 34. Isn't that neat? So we've just pulled out what was in between the 9 and 8. This can be very handy for doing things like scraping and scraping websites and trying to get URLs out of things. You know, you can match all around it, and href equals quote, and you can do the pattern matchings on there. But then the thing that you're remembering inside that, you would match any character that is not a quote. That would be tricky. That would look something like this. Not a quote. A single quote, that is. Adam. So that would mean any character, one or more, that's not a quote, and that would match what's in between quotes, for instance, as long as the URL had quotes. But you would pattern matching, these regular expressions can do absolutely everything. Created by totally logical people, used for like 30 years, something like that, and never failed to be able to match some sort of pattern. You just have to know how to do it. I am Inventor Dan Zen. This has been a what is a RegExp, or a regular expression, here at zimjs.com. Ciao.